almost $1 trillion worth of trade crosses the border between the US and Canada. A sizable chunk of that is transported over the Ambassador Bridge that links Windsor in Canada with Detroit in the US. The auto industry is a key economic engine for both sides of the border.
Michigan and Ontario in particular have been trading with automobile parts and plants and assemblies and vehicles for decades now. Even before NAFTA, we had a very healthy, almost an integration between the auto industry in the American Midwest and in Ontario of Canada.
But that integration is now at risk, and concern across this region is growing. Tariffs have become a key element of US President Donald Trump's second term in office. Canada is among those targeted, sparking a trade war between the two countries. Trump has also questioned Canada's sovereignty, saying the country would be better off if it became the 51st state of the United States. The Trump administration says the tariffs are essential in order to bring investments and jobs back to the US. The trade war is already having an impact on both sides of the border.
It would have a very strong and negative effect on the auto industry. You would see substantial price increases that would affect consumers and a huge disruption of the ability to produce vehicles as we have now.
Hundreds of cars line the Detroit Auto Show. US auto company Ford utilized the occasion to show off its new lineup of cars. Jim Farley, the president and CEO of Ford, put a brave face on the tariff threat.
Even though Ford is the #1 assembler of vehicles in the United States by a long shot, a lot of our supply chain depends on countries from around the world. And so tariffs are really challenging.
Economists warn it would likely lead to significant price increases and the potential breakdown in supply chains.
You definitely are going to see jobs at risk. That we've already taken jobs out or delayed when we thought we'd be hiring people to build vehicles. And the most likely effect of tariffs at the scale that has been threatened would be price increases, fewer sales, and fewer production jobs.
At factories across North America, alarm is growing as to the potential impacts of the tariff threat. This General Motors plant in Oshawa in Canada produces Silverado trucks. Workers here believe tariffs on the auto industry will quickly put a stop to production and threaten jobs.
Job security is a really big concern right now within the plant. People are afraid of when their next paycheck's going to come, if they're going to be laid off, if they're going to be working in a year. Lots of fear and uncertainty right now.
The people that are buying these vehicles or building the vehicles, they're going to be out of work almost immediately. And then we're going to have to figure out how to get them back to work and how to keep the industry running. We all have, mortgages or rent. We have food we need to buy, utilities. Like none of that's that stuff doesn't stop because you lost your job.
So that's all right. So again, those turn around and that.
The tariffs and the retaliatory tariffs are already being felt in other industries. This is Canada's largest RV or recreational vehicle show, taking place on the outskirts of Toronto. When tariffs were first due to be implemented in early February, before a pause was announced, RV companies were quick to act.
Well, we canceled about 3 million in orders at that time. We canceled everything that we weren't going to get by February 21st and then put them all back in again.
The RV business in Canada is significant. Last year, the United States shipped almost 30,000 units to Canada, worth an estimated retail value of $1.7 billion.
Well, short term, we'd probably sell everything we've got. It would be a pretty quick sales process. In the States, there'd have to be some layoffs. You're not going to lose 12% and keep the same number of people. And then we're fortunate we have 3 Canadian manufacturers that are great companies, and they all export to the US, so we'll have more of their product available as well.
Beer in Canada is a multi-billion-dollar industry, sustaining some 225,000 jobs. Even the threat of tariffs has had an impact on the industry.
So today in Canada, over 80% of what we call packaged beer is sold in cans. What people don't realize is that the threat of these tariffs, and specifically on aluminum, have already impacted costs. So there's a benchmark price of aluminum that has already increased by 50% year to date in 2025 because people are just anticipating that hit. But what you'll see at the end of the day is increased costs, pass along increased prices to consumers, both retail and hospitality, and that will depress sales, and that will have this ripple effect across the whole hospitality tourism sector. So it's a much bigger issue than just sort of the cost of a can going up.
Henderson Brewing is a Toronto-based craft brewing company that began in 2016.
The challenge is we already are in an environment where our costs are pretty high for other reasons, and having to push those up even higher, at some point our consumer is going to break and say no. With the tariffs and then the retaliatory tariffs and then products moving across the border a few times, by the time it gets into our hands, we could see, increases 5 to 50 cents a can. And I don't know that that's something that we'll be able to withstand. For the small beer business, arguably this could be catastrophic.
In the Ontario countryside, the most Canadian of products rolls off a production line. This is Jakeman's maple syrup. The Jakeman family have been making maple products for generations.
I think 80 to 90% of all maple syrup in the world comes from Canada, so it's part of our national pride and our identity. 51% of all of the maple syrup in Canada that's made goes to the United States. So, it's a critical market for Canada. It's a big deal to have tariffs on our products. It's going to definitely affect revenues for the entire industry. And, we need the support of our domestic market to get through this.
That domestic market appears ready to make a stand. The tariffs have aroused what some economists call retail nationalism. Many Canadians across the country are now actively boycotting US-made goods. The largest liquor chain in Ontario has removed all US alcohol from its stores. The chain normally sells $1 billion worth of US drinks each year, while many Canadians are now cancelling travel to the US, partly due to the weakening Canadian dollar, but also as a reaction to the tariffs. John Ostris operates a travel company in Ottawa.
The responses are, I don't want to travel to the United States. I don't want to give them my business. I don't want to spend my money there. Or if we had any bookings, since they made them a year ago, they've actually canceled them. So I can't even explain the difference. In all the years that I've worked, it's a shocking difference of just non-travel to the US.
Wayne Smith is a professor at the Institute for Hospitality and Tourism Research at Toronto Metropolitan University.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a fallout. We're already starting to see the numbers. The numbers of Canadians traveling to the US has dropped precipitously. We're starting to see a real decrease, especially in the pleasure market. Tourism is all about image. Like, if you're going to go somewhere, you're going to go somewhere where you feel good about going to that place.
The trade war has already had several impacts, and most experts predict serious consequences for Canada's economy if the tariffs remain. But some economists also suggest it is a time to reflect and believe Canada should give focus to developing a more diverse economy.
As Canadians, we've maybe been a little too lackadaisical in terms of building a country that is resilient. There's a cost to resilience too. I mean, if you don't have to build the pipelines and you can still sell your oil to the US and get a good price for it, it's easier. There's a price for resilience, but I think there's going to be a benefit to resilience. And I think part of being an independent country is being able to stand on your own 2 feet all the time, whether it's a cloudy day or a sunny day. And I think we're pretty good at standing on our own 2 feet when it's sunny, but we're not as good when it's cloudy. So it's time for us to sort of develop the backbone and the ability to stand on our own 2 feet when it's a cloudy day. And right now it's cloudy.